Her husband swore he wasn't sending the abusive texts. The truth was so much worse. For 10 years, she had built a life with this man. They had a home, 2 beautiful boys, which she genuinely believed was a perfect relationship. Then, one day, her phone buzzed with a message from him. But the words on the screen weren't from the man she knew. They were from a monster. And she was about to find out just how close that monster had been living. It started about 3 months ago. The messages would arrive while he was at work, little daggers of pure cruelty sent from his number. They called her lazy, a terrible mother. He told her he regretted ever marrying her. The words were so vicious, so completely out of character, it felt like a stranger had stolen his phone. But the truly insane part? When he'd walk through the door at night, he was the same man she'd always known. He'd kiss her, ask about her day, play with their sons. It was a picture of domestic bliss. The first time, she brushed it off. A bad day at the office, maybe. But the messages kept coming. Day after day. Sometimes late at night when he was working overtime. And they were escalating. You're useless. You're lucky I haven't left you yet. No one else would ever want you. Each text was a blow to her soul. She started to dread the sound of her own phone. She confronted him, her hands shaking as she held up the screen, showing him the proof. And his reaction was the most confusing part of all. He didn't get defensive. He didn't get angry. He just looked, lost. Baffled. Almost scared. What messages? He'd ask, his eyes wide with what looked like genuine confusion. I didn't send those. You must be misunderstanding something. She showed him the texts again and again. He'd just stare at them and claim he didn't send them, that he'd lost his phone at work. But he had a new phone, and the calls and normal texts were still coming from that same number. She thought he was deleting the evidence, that this was some kind of sick, twisted gaslighting campaign. But his performance was flawless. He never broke character. After a month of this psychological torture, she snapped. She gathered every hateful message, every soul-crushing insult, and put them in front of him. I can't live like this, she told him, her voice breaking. If you hate me this much, just say it to my face. He stuck to his story. He swore on their life together that it wasn't him. He suggested maybe someone found his old phone and was messing with them. But she was done. She couldn't live in a house with a man who was either a pathological liar or completely oblivious to the torment she was enduring. She packed a bag for herself and the boys and went straight to her parents' house. She thought distance might stop it. She was wrong. The messages continued, from the same number, with the same venom. Running to mommy's house just proves my point. You're pathetic. You'll come crawling back eventually. She was trapped in a nightmare. She still let the kids see him. He was their father, and they missed him. But every interaction was tainted by the poison on her phone. Was he a psychopath hiding in plain sight? Or was something far stranger going on? She felt like she was losing her mind, terrified she was breaking her family apart for something she couldn't prove. And that's when things went from heartbreaking to genuinely terrifying. The messages got worse. They shifted from insults to something that felt a lot more like threats. Vague, chilling promises about how she would regret leaving. She spent a night staring at the ceiling, her heart pounding with a fear she had never known. This was no longer about a broken marriage, this felt dangerous. Late that night, her fingers trembling, she finally texted back. If these messages don't stop, I'm going to the police. She knew it was a risk. If it was him, it could make him angrier. If it wasn't, she was showing her cards to a complete stranger. But she couldn't take it anymore. The response was immediate. The messages didn't stop. They got more aggressive. That was it. The last shred of doubt vanished. It had to be him. The next morning, she walked into a police station. She explained the situation, focusing on the harassment and the lost phone. An officer listened patiently. Because she was on the phone plan, they told her they could try to track the location of the missing device. She gave them the information, her stomach in knots. A few minutes later, they had an address. The officer read it out, and a cold wave of recognition washed over her. It was a familiar street. Very close to their house. Her mind raced, trying to place it. Then it hit her. A workplace party. She'd been there before. It was the home of one of her husband's co-workers. A woman she thought was her friend. Anger, pure and hot, replaced her fear. She was exhausted from the crying, the confusion, the constant anxiety. She called her mom, who agreed to come with her. They drove to her husband's house. The kids were with him. Her mom took the boys outside so she could finally face him alone. She walked in, her heart hammering against her ribs. "I know who has your phone," she said, her voice shaking with rage. "It's at her house. Your coworker. How could you let this happen? How could you let someone I considered a friend do this to me?" She was breaking down, the dam of emotion finally bursting. He looked genuinely shocked. He stammered, "Why is my phone at her house? How did she even get the password?" He tried to play it down, suggesting maybe the coworker had just found it at the office. But his answer didn't feel right. The messages had been too personal. They mentioned private jokes, arguments they'd had, details about their children. Things a random coworker could never know. She looked him dead in the eye. She wasn't just a coworker, was she? The silence that followed was deafening. And in that silence, the entire horrifying truth finally collapsed in on her. He had been having an affair with this woman. For over a year. Every piece clicked into place. The personal details. The relentless cruelty. The timing. This woman hadn't just found his phone. He had given her access to their entire life. He had complained to his mistress about his wife, sharing their intimate secrets, their struggles, their vulnerabilities. And his mistress had taken that information and forged it into a weapon. He claimed he lost the phone at work and that she must have taken it. The truth was, the old phone was still logged into his messaging accounts. While he used his new phone, his mistress was using the old one as her personal torture device, sending messages that would appear to come from him but would never show up on his new device. He was carrying on two separate lives, and she was caught in the crossfire. Whether he knew the exact content of the messages became irrelevant. He may not have typed the words himself, but he had loaded the gun and handed it to the person who pulled the trigger. He had smiled in his wife's face every single day while the woman he was sleeping with was systematically trying to destroy her sanity. Her trust wasn't just broken, it was obliterated. This wasn't the man she married. This was a stranger who had stood by and watched her drown. She has now started the process of filing for divorce. She's staying with her parents, surrounding herself and her boys with the only family she knows she can trust. The woman who smiled at her at parties, who acted like a friend, was secretly dismantling her life from the inside out, fueled by the secrets her own husband fed her. It's a betrayal so deep, so disturbing, it's hard to even comprehend. She lost 10 years of her life to a lie, and now, she has to find the strength to start over. The husband's affair was a deep betrayal, but his mistress took it to a level of psychological warfare that is truly monstrous. He created the situation with his deceit, but she weaponized it with pure malice. It's a chilling reminder that the deepest wounds often come from the people we invite into our lives. So here is the question. Do you believe the husband had absolutely no idea what his mistress was doing with that phone? Or was his confusion just another lie in a long line of them, making him a silent partner in his wife's torment?